intro video. We tried to get that set up today, but other things got in the way. We did get our channel trailer up and running. Chuck did a fantastic job on that, so there's that. That's cool. But we are here for Ask Me Anything on this February 2nd, 2021. Good Lord, time just keeps on trucking. Alright, what's going on here? How's it going, Johnny Nomad? We're just getting started. Hey, Ghidorah. I still have not seen the second Godzilla movie. I need to go see that Godzilla movie. I guess not go see it. It's not going to be anywhere except streaming. Huge Godzilla fan. But I don't know. Everyone told me that it was more chit-chat than monsters. But it looks like there's a lot of monsters in there. It's got Rodan, man, and I love Rodan. How's it going, Lone Jedi and Epi? Things are going well. Today was an entertaining day. It was one of those days where many projects got started and no projects got finished that I know of. So nothing was capped successfully at the end of the day. A truckload of orders went out, so that was good. But beyond that, I think everything else is in this kind of half state of something being done to it or what have you. How's it going, Sorrow's Tale, Lord Dalius Bloodwild? So the day was good, but I could have wished for a slightly more productive day. How's it going, Long Shot? How was your day, Epi? Hopefully it was more, what's the word I'm looking for? Productive isn't it, because we've all been working like lunatics. Satisfying? I don't know, whatever word I'm looking for. Insert word that is roughly equivalent to satisfying. How's it going, Athelston? Zandy and Commander Pete, how's it going, man? Yeah, so, yeah. But there's always tomorrow. Chaotic, yeah, that was definitely today, I think. And it's just typified by our main printer went down, and we called tech out, and they came in, and they found the problem and fixed that, and that triggered another problem, so they came back out. And I think we got one half of one book printed, and then they fixed that problem. And then it again, and they just left about 5 minutes ago and fixed that problem. But once they fixed the third problem that was triggered by the other two problems, they discovered that some boots or something are going to wear out, so they got to replace those. So they'll be back in the morning. So fourth time's a charm, as no one ever said, nor did they ever want to say. So how's it go? Fulfilling, yes. It was not fulfilling. That's good, Ghidorah. That's what we were looking for. Very busy, but an unfulfilling day. That's exactly what we were looking for. How's it going, Kroll? Trolls talk. What's better than that? Yeah. Trolls under a bridge, maybe. It was better than the last few days. The wife had her son over the baby. She's going to be a cutie. Very good. Congratulations. When does that youngster do? I haven't hit Facebook much in the last month or so, but I do. You pop up on my stream, so I do get some news of that. Sorrow's Tale, shoot away. Absolutely, ask anything, and I'll do my best to answer it. The value of the answer, you're going to have to weigh that, but I will definitely answer it. King Kothar's in the house. Yeah. Apparently, I should have bought stock in something. What is it? Is it GameStop? It's been going GameStop. Whatever. The stock market's been going kind of loopy with the Reddit boys. The Reddit boys in the house. I have to tell you. Yeah, GME exploded, and I think it crashed today. I think it was back down to double digits. It is nothing but an entertaining world we live in, without a doubt. How's it going, Matt? Do you plan on adding a product to support the virtual tabletop market? Absolutely. That's one of the biggest things we're working on right now. And it is only... It's... Do you remember that scene in The Hobbit where Gandalf is bringing Bilbo and the dwarves to the werebear. I can't remember his name. And he only brings in 1 or 2 at a time, so that the guy doesn't get overwhelmed with the 13 visitors or 14 visitors or whatever it is he's going to have. That's sort of how I think that Tim and Chuck have been doing VTT to me. We got to do this and this, and so we get that, and okay, we got to do this, we get that, and we got to do this and this, and we get that, and it just keeps coming. And it only hit me in a horrible way, or I was made aware, I should say, about a week ago, that all of those monsters that Troll Lord Games has opted to not do pictures of, simple monsters or some that don't have shape or whatever it is. We have to do all those monsters now for this VTT material because they have to have the tokens to play the VTT. So with all of that in mind, yes, we are actually, it's a daily conversation around here on which resources that we're allocating to bringing more stuff into the VTT market. I know that we're a big part of a Shard Kickstarter that's going on right now. Go over and check that out if you can. And there's an aired level in there. You can get all kinds of stuff. Monsters and Treasures of aired, Codex of aired, all kinds of stuff. Our player's guide there, I'm not sure. And I know that A0 is already released, and they're working on C1 through C7 right now. One of the early issues that we ran into was the mapping. We've been in business for so long, and some of those projects date way back that the maps are in no way, shape, or form able to go into a VTT environment. So we got to do that massive conversion process and getting people on board to do that, and et cetera. Yeah, exactly. So that's where we're landing on that. So we are moving forward very, very aggressively on VTT. I want to see a lot of that done this year. And it really, at this point, it's a resource allocation, what we actually can devote to getting this art, both the maps and the other stuff, brought up to speed. So yes, absolutely, lots and lots of VTT coming. Let's see. I fell behind in my first, so no Gary Con for anybody, I think. April 1st. Well, congratulations, very cool. My daughter was born in April. It's a good month. What's the next big project coming from the Trolls? Well, we got to get these Player's Handbook and CKG out, and then we're diving right into the Planescape stuff. That is lingering on the edge of everything that we're doing right now. We're hoping by the close of February that all of these back projects are either print ready or at the printers, and we're moving on. And that's the Planescapes for us, and you'll hear more about that. Of course, now the next very, very big one will be in March, a Kickstarter for Robert E. Howard's 100 year, or whatever it is, not 100 year, art chronology books that we are working on. We can run up Dr. Pepper. There you go. Let's all get Dr. Pepper's talk. Buy seeds. Yeah, hey all, thanks for joining. Blah, blah, blah. That's nothing. Bjorn, yes, that's the fellow. I love that scene where Gandalf just slowly brings him in over time. I absolutely love it. If you need another graphic design and or writer, I'm your fellow. All right, Zandy, shoot Tim an email at tim@troller.com. We'll see if we got something that fits. It never hurts to reach out to us. Man, Twitch is rotten tonight. Getting like definitely like third or fourth in line. Yeah, there you go. Oh my God, I haven't worked on a third-party siege project. The monsters are frankly a mess. Yeah, they need a lot of work, and it's really the art that's got me the most concerned. Text is relatively easy, but now there's also quite some conversation amongst the way Davis and I write, and even, I don't know if Jason does this, and Brian does, where we don't really specify the weapon that a monster is using necessarily. So in VTT, that's a huge problem, that you can't just say blunt weapons or sharp weapons. You got to say short sword or whatever. So that's caused a bit of a snafu rolling down the bike. Must write faster. Okay. You'll be restocking the print versions of the Haunted Highlands Castle Keeper's Guide and Player's Guide to air it anytime soon. Yes, I don't know. I don't really know how to define soon. Troll soon. I would rather those books be out right now. But I got to talk to Casey about the one, and then I'm going to have to take about a week and really revamp the PG of A for Castles and Crusades, and it's really kind of a time allocation thing for me. We're getting there where we're getting things squared away. There's thousands of little things like the channel trailer for Twitch that we have to get done, and once these things are done, they're permanently done, if that makes sense. And then we worked on a really good procedure today for the Patreon backers to get a constant flow of content. Davis and I are hard on that. Tim's updating all of that stuff. And once these things are done, we can really kind of get focused on wrapping up these Kickstarters and get these Kickstarters out of the way and plunge into things like the Player's Guide to Erin. That book needs to come out. Both of them do. The Castle Keeper's Guide to Haunted Highlands is the most disappointing thing that is not on our shelves right now, because that stuff, Casey did a fantastic job, and there's 10 beautifully crafted adventures inside that sucker, plus a ton of rules that you can bring to your game. So that I got to get with Casey and get that fixed up. So I just finished watching the first season of the new Stephen King based miniseries, The Stand. Not bad. I'm on episode 3. I finished episode 2. It's pretty good. I like the cast is really, really cool. I actually got distracted and I plunged into Barbarians. So I've been watching Barbarians like crazy. It's only 6 episodes, I think. So I watched that all week in the evenings. It's very good. If you haven't watched Barbarians, it's on Netflix. Go watch it. It's not as good as Vikings, but it might be. It's damn good. It's just watch it. Vikings, The Last Kingdom, Barbarians, fantastic shows that'll help inspire your RPG adventures. Have you seen the new decks and other companies are doing, kind of like weapons, shuffleable maps, etc.? I've seen a lot of that stuff. I got a couple ideas along those lines that I'm exploring. But I got to find some manufacturers to do what I want to do. But we won't go into that too much right now. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on the market that really enhances play, without a doubt. I see, haven't watched this stream much before. Have you ever been asked which TLG adventures are your very personal favorites to play and run? Borfaxer, I think I've been asked that once, and I'm going to say I think the best adventure that Troll Lord has published, I'm going to put three in the same running, and they're all a little bit different. So the best is Assault on Blacktooth Ridge. That's A1. Davis wrote that, and it's just this fantastic 48-page adventure that's got town adventure, overland adventure, dungeon adventure, lots of NPCs, river crossings, which are my favorite. It's got everything that a CK could want to run, and it's strung together in this very loose format so that you can build on it. You could buy A1 and run that forever and a day. So A1 Assault on Blacktooth Ridge, fantastic book. Particularly for something I wrote, I'm particularly fond of A Line in the Ropes. It's a very low-level adventure, but it's got like 3 thematic things going on simultaneously that gives the CK a lot of stuff to play around with, leading the characters in this direction or leading the characters in that direction. So that one's a lot of fun. And I have to say, The Hermit by Gary Gygax, which is no longer in print by us. I'm sure you can get it on eBay. We published that back in 2004, I don't know, something like that, for D20 and Legendary Adventure, and it's a fantastic adventure. I absolutely love The Hermit. It's got some of the most unique encounters I've ever seen, and Gary did not like writing adventures, so he wasn't really partial to writing that. But it's just it's a fantastic adventure. I absolutely love The Hermit. If you can scoop that up somewhere, I'd recommend you do it. The other two, Assault on Blacktooth Ridge, is available in both 5th edition and Castles and Crusades in our store, and in fact, Line of the Ropes is available in both versions too. For house rule, what do you think about having spellcasters roll a d20 siege check to get their spells cast? A 1 could be a misfire, a 20 would be expended effort. Another or alternate idea is to make a siege check. If successful, a spell goes off without expending a spell slot. Oh no, that's interesting. This could encourage spellcasters to vary the types of spells they would memorize. That's kind of an interesting concept. It's all kind of covered in the other direction. A lot of the spells that they cast are going to have saving throws, so you're going to, or sometimes you actually have to make the attribute check. So that's kind of covered. The dice roll is kind of covered, but you touch on an idea that we talk about a lot here in TLG at Troll Lord Games, is taking the dice rolling away anytime. The basic philosophy is this: anytime that a dice needs to be rolled and you can get the player to roll the dice, the rule should be that the player rolls the dice. So we try to do that both in our adventures and in our rule books. And that's kind of what you're talking about. It's an interesting concept, and I like the idea of making a siege check. We ran into that last Tuesday or Sunday, whenever we played last. Dakota was out of spells, and Pete needed some spells, needed some help, something fiercely. And Dakota started to cast out of his book, but he decided not to. But that's an interesting concept. You make a siege check, and the spell survives. You fail your siege check, and the spell doesn't. I don't know. I'll toy with that in my noodle space. How's it going, Jennifer? Hope all is well up yonder ways in Wisconsin. Let's see. Steve, on this point, I must be frank. There is a lot of redundancy in Monsters and Treasure. Lots of monsters with basically the same stat blocks filling the same niches with very, very minor modifications. Most of them don't have illustrations. It's a cool idea that monsters have cultural or folkloric ties, but when the names are in Celtic or Slavic, and I don't speak those languages, I have no idea what the hell the creatures are without reading through the whole entry. Yeah, that's what he's talking about there. We merged, so there's the Mythos series that is Codex Celtarum, Codex Slavorum, Codex Germania, Nordica, and so forth and so on. And the monsters in those books were merged with our primary monster book. Mostly they came out of the Germanic, Nordic, and mostly the Celt books. So there's an absolute ton of monsters that came in there without illustrations that are very much like monsters that we already had, a variance of them or whatnot. And that's one reason the illustrations wasn't done. And I chose to leave it in there simply for the very reason that you don't like King Kothar. Some people do like that cultural affiliation, and that's one reason we decided to put it in there. Now, that said, on the sixth printing of the Monsters and Treasures, or sixth printing of the Monsters and Treasures, I'm gonna tighten that up a little bit. I noticed the other day that the Barghest that we have had in every printing of the Monster book was replaced with a new Barghest, which was actually weaker. And I didn't like that. I had to jump back to the fourth printing in the encounter I had the other night. So there will be some tightening up in the future. Steve, thank you, and Chuck for having the Underdark Uprising fundraiser info showing below. Absolutely no problem. That's all Chuck and Tim. Lord Gazumba. I don't know how to do any of this. Chuck gave me a pretty good lesson on how to do an intro video, and I completely failed at that. So real quick, thank you all for joining today, and if you have not already, please give us a follow. We sure appreciate it. We're doing some kind of PDF giveaway this afternoon. I'm not sure what. That's again Tim and Chuck's. That's their area. Almzed, thank you for this subscription. Very, very much appreciated. Let's see, where are we at? It is updated and they changed the story how everyone comes together a little bit. Showed a little bit more of a community type setup. Showed a lot more of the Dark Vegas. I think that's someone else's conversation. Regarding the extra content unlocked for Gaxmar 5e, will that make it into CNC? I don't play 5e. Yes, absolutely, Rhino. That is one of the things I got to talk to Luke with on what we're going to do with that or how we're going to integrate all of that stuff. But that is definitely what we want to do. Is bring the art, the maps, everything over so the CNC version is up to speed. That's somewhere in the works. I'm not sure we'll get to it in the next few months, but it is definitely somewhere in the works. Let's see. The thing. How's it going, Last Laugh? Hadn't seen you in a while. Is Barbarian? Yes, Jennifer. Barbarians is on Snow Quilter. I'm on episode 5. I'm going to finish it up tonight. It's really good. It's as good as Vikings. There's an actual story here. It's not just... whatever. It's not just blood and violence. It's just a good show. Now it's in German and Latin, so you're gonna have some, whatever. But it's a good show. Do you have an errata page for your adventures? I've been reading through Kane's Gambit from the box set, and I can't find out how the second floor rooms are supposed to be numbered. Yeah. See, maps have been a problem for a long time. And we really need like 3 sets of eyes on these things. Davis writes them, but sometimes Davis's text and my text doesn't line up with the maps, and then Peter goes in and he just kind of populates it. But yes, Tim, if you're still out there, if you could put up that link for where people can go in to put in errata, that'd be great. Kadora, we reprint, those things are short printed, so we could fix that in printings going forward. But there is somewhere out there in the Trollverse that allows you to put in, to pick a product and then put in some errata, and then we'll fix it when we get to it. Can you reach out to Twitch to add a Castles in today's Twitch category? Would maybe be interested to add a CNC stream to our Greyhawk stream. Sorrow's Tale, that'd be fantastic. Let me send a note to the team here. asks for Twitch to add a Twitch category. I'm not sure if that's that would help you at all. All right, there we go. I have made a note. Now, whether someone acts upon it or not, who the hell knows, but we will attempt to. Vinland Saga, the Japanese anime on Amazon Prime, is really cool for inspiration. I'll check it out. Miami Ropes have a lot of NPCs named after WKRPs. I'm glad you picked up on Savage. Not very many people do. I did that. That book was an homage to one of my favorite TV shows from the late 70s, early 80s, WKRP in Cincinnati. So Bailey Quarters is in there. There's a whole bunch of them in there. We used to put a lot of that stuff in there. The book Heart of Glass, of course, is got there's Blondie titles, song titles of Blondies throughout the book. So we did a lot of stuff like that in the early days. We've kind of dropped that off, but maybe we should go back then. Oh, so I was thinking about the Beginner's Guide to Air we talked about a week ago. That works like a basic gazetteer, and I wondered what you thought about it being a book that presents two sets of stats for everything, one for CNC and the other 5th edition. I think, honestly, I don't like to stat too much of that stuff out. I think that a Beginner's Guide to Air really doesn't need to be system specific. I'd have to kind of look at it, but like if you look at all the rulers and stuff in there, I never statted that stuff out. I don't stat gods out. We have a deity stat block, but it's not stats. It's holy days, sacrifices. What the hell is this? It's all kinds of stuff in that thing. Where's my player's guide to... There she is. There she goes. So like in this sucker here, player's guide to air, you look at, let's see, what do we got here? Lyth, the goddess Lyth, order, province, plane, alignment, temple, sacrifices, holy days, superstitions, preferred weapons, adage, ceremony, and granted ability. So that would be the stat block that would carry over into any kind of beginner's guide. There are also 2 booberies in Monsters and Treasures. There you go. Thank you very much, She'll appreciate it. Anytime, Lord Gazimba. How's it going, Clever? Yeah, exactly. How's it going, Willie? Turumbar. Is that a Tolkien thing? Turumbar. Turumbar? Is that his name? I think that is his name. I can't remember. I love the Silmarillion. It's one of my favorite books. Huron and Turin. Turumbar. I think that's his name. Is that where Turumbar 29 comes from? Absolutely huge fan of. So it's too late for that, Chuck. Turumbar. There we go. Yeah, love that story. Now is that the one? That's where he marries his sister or kills his sister. Is Turin or is that Huron? I get the two mixed up. Man, are those great things. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, I got to tell you. So I'm rereading the trilogy, and I'm in Return of the King, and I've just gotten to I've just finished the chapter on the Siege of Gondor, and Gandalf, the Nazgul comes through the gates after Grong knocks the gates down. Gandalf is standing there, and the two have a conversation. A little bit more aggressively than having a conversation. They weren't doing an interview, but so you read it, it's cool, whatever. So just out of curiosity last night, I looked at the live action version of that encounter, and then the cartoons version of that encounter, and the cartoon covered it almost word verbatim. I mean, it was crazy. It was very interesting. And unless I misfired on the live action doesn't have the Nazgul coming through the front gate. He's flying the dragon and he lands on the thing, and some of the language is there, but some of it is not. It's very interesting how the cartoon, in many respects, the cartoon followed the dialogue far closer. And I actually love this scene, the idea of him riding a horse through the gates of Gondor. Very cool stuff. Good stuff. I'm really impressed that this AMA episode has so many good questions. Frequently, we just talk about movies. Morning Trolls from the Land of Oz. Last night was my first night back at the virtual game table, so good to be back. Loving that my players are slowly starting to absorb some of the background from the world of Art, and it's affecting their play. Oh, that's cool, Mr. Obadiah. That is badass. That's what I love to hear when people really get into the lore of the world of Air. There's a lot of it there, and there's a lot of it that can come out. And just as for instance, In the game I'm running Sunday, Pete, one of my gamers, just poking through the book, read this little section where the Cloak of Red blinded 𝚃𝚘𝚕𝚕. I'd completely forgotten about that. But now they're doing this Cloak of Red quest. They want to rebuild the Cloak of Red so that they can blind 𝚃𝚘𝚕 to what's going on in the world. And it's a very interesting concept that he took one single passage buried in the Andanuth in the Codex of Erd, and we're creating an entire game around it. It's very cool. And so if you can get into Erd, there's so much in there that both players and CKs can tackle, and DMs for 5th edition can tackle. It's a lot of fun. From Tolkien's Children of Fury. It's less chaotic. How's it going, Piper Dog? Hadn't seen you in a few weeks. It's less chaotic than normal. I'm guessing Chuck is in. Yeah. Chuck in his non-stop chaos. Yeah, it is a horrible tale. It's my favorite of the tales. Yes, Turban right there. I absolutely love that section. Hard to read sometimes. Silmarillion is my favorite. And I have to say, and I think it's the continuity that I like the most, Galadriel is one of my favorite, if not my favorite characters, and primarily because she is she's the sister of Feanor, so she's way in the beginning, and she's way in the end. She's the one kind of, her and Sauron are really the constants through the whole history of Middle-earth. It's very cool. I love that type of stuff. I'm not saying that you should do things like stat guides for beginner's guide, but I offer the counterpoint. Gameable content is what 5e players are after. There needs to be something in the way of a little gameable widgets. If it's new spells, magic items, new patrons, feats, monsters, etc., it wouldn't have to be super in-depth or number crunchy, but broad strokes. I'd have to look at, I know exactly what you're saying. Jason Vey, who heads up our 5th edition line, he brings this up to me constantly. Castles and Crusades is far more rules light than 5th edition is, and the gamers in 5th edition and the 5th edition community appreciate more mechanical driven stuff, whatever it is. But that's not really the right way to say that, but you know what I mean. They like to expand their characters in a more mechanical. That's not the right rules. I don't know. Whatever. 5th edition is slightly different than Castles and Crusades. So when I create this stuff, I really kind of roll it out on my end for the Erd end, and I'm the primary creator of Erd. It's more of kind of run with your imagination type thing, and Jason is constantly kind of saying, "Hey, no, you can't do that. We got to give it a little bit more concrete to it, because the 5th edition has more structure to it." So in the 5th edition guide to Erd that's already published, it's got some of that structure. So probably King Kothar, if we're to go that route, we would borrow from it. Part of the problem with doing that is kind of choosing what you want to go in there. There's so very much that you can tease with, and then you end up just kind of republishing the Player's Guide to Erd type thing. My mind at the moment is more not the history, because the history is the weighted side of things, but more just content to dive right into and give you a taste of the world itself. But and it's definitely on the border. Reading through the creation myth, I'm really enjoying. Thank you, Clever. It's a long and can be at times ponderous section, the Andanuth. My issue with the cartoon is that the voice of the Lord of Nazgul was the same voice in so many. I did not know that. His voice is kind of odd. But it's funny because when he walks through, and I literally just read this last night, so it's fresh on my mind. When in the book, when he walks through the gate, he laughs, and he has this evil laugh, and then he does his speech. And he doesn't do that in the movie. The movie took a different tone. I don't know. It's very interesting. I enjoyed the movies. Not knocking the movies. It's just it's interesting to me that the one creator felt it was as good to pursue or to use the original content closer than the second creator did. I'm not to say one's either any better or worse than the other. I mean, it's whatever you enjoy. But it interests me. Shadows of Halfling Hall is another. Yes, that is a fantastic adventure. We've also got one called A Fantastic Adventure, which is also a really good adventure. Thanks for the top 3 favorite TLG adventures. Just ordered a copy of The Hermit. I saw them like the race. It's also a favorite of mine. I moved lines and the ropes to the top of it. Very cool. Well, good deal, Borfox. I hope you enjoy The Hermit. It's got some of the most unique Gygaxian approaches to adventure I've ever seen. It's just pretty amazing. I have to step down for a bit. I'll catch you. Take it easy, real long shot. Sure, appreciate it. Thanks for the blah, blah. The thing to understand is this: 5e gamers are starved for player options. Very little has come out of note in the entire product lifecycle. It has mostly been adventures and monster books, not class options or skills. That's interesting. Then we need to push the player's guide to Arid in that direction, because I'm pretty sure that stuff's in there. I think there's some more class stuff in there. I gotta look at it. It's been a while since I looked at it. It's a very interesting concept. Maybe something we can explore. One of the things we always want people to do is play 5th edition, all of our 5th edition content. But definitely when you're doing that, take a moment, check out Castles and Crusades, and you'll be pleasantly surprised, I think. I think Silgrim, it's really necessary. We've got this heavy, ponderous book that just going to chase people away. It's 300 pages long. Just started A4 after playing through A0, A3, as there's supposed to be access to the underground labyrinths from the sewers. I don't find it in the maps, but maybe I missed it. Oh, wow, man. It's been a long time since I looked at that. And so A4 is that the pyramid? Is that Wicked Cauldron's A3? Usurpers of the Fell Axe is A4. Man, I'd have to look at that. I don't. It's probably supposed to be. Would be my guess. That would be where I would throw that out there. While I love the Codex Red, I think I love the old folio more because it was less fleshed out and allowed enough framework to have a world, but allowed a lot of room to create. Yeah, that's definitely. And that's just going to get worse, Piper, as we go forward, because I got a ton of... I wrote today... so if you look at... So these are the lands of Ursul in the world of air. This is kind of the playable world that we have. And this city here, the Castle Arenal, it's a citadel. It's where the White Order has set up their guild houses and all that mess. And I just wrote a gigantic section for that and sent it to World Anvil. That'll be up on the World Anvil Thursday. I actually might be up there now. I'm not sure. So there's going to be even more fleshing out of stuff. It's going to restrict your, whatever. Hopefully not in a bad way. And then perhaps give them a snapshot of the setting. Choose a single year in the history of Arid and write it as a log to the current events of the setting. Basically, a big long list of adventure hooks, notable NPCs, the state of politics. Now that's a great idea right there, because I think one of the things that gets lost in the presentation of Arid, it's all of this material. I mean, it's a gigantic amount of material, but it doesn't state so very, very clearly where you begin. And obviously, you can begin anywhere you want, but you're actually beginning 90 years after the Winter Dark. That's a very good. I'm going to put that here. That's a really good idea, because and it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. Really, it's just an idea that this is where you begin and go. Thanks for stopping by, Mr. Obadiah. Much appreciated. So when you're running a campaign, how much pre-planning do you do? How much world building was done before you began playing? I've been GMing for almost 15 years, and I've never quite found my balance with that. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff from the hip. I usually will have kind of an idea mapped out in my head of what I want to do, and then start play. Now at the first level, I really don't have anything planned out. I don't plan any arcs. I don't do any of that stuff. I've done that too many times, and the players got killed or got bored, or the players didn't get killed. The characters got killed. Or the players got killed. That would be a rough table. But, so the characters get killed and it wrecks it, whatever. I usually wait till second or third level to start kind of forming any kind of campaign arcs that I want to do. That way they've got some hit points, they can survive, a little gold, maybe, recover or what have you. Once they've gained second, third level, the other side of the coin starts to unfold, because I think that's a mixed metaphor. The players are beginning to form who their characters are and start having ideas of what they want to do. And then you can start building a campaign based on what the players want to do. And at that point, I'll start putting a little bit of elbow grease into it, notes, writing out NPCs, possible encounters, stuff like that. But it's really not until maybe 4 or 5 games on a particular track that I'll start fleshing it out a lot. I mean, really kind of detailing things and the way I want it to go and the way this is and that is. Because that way I know they're committed. Too often, as GMs, DMs, CKs, we sit down and we create all this stuff. and they go the other direction. And some of it you can save, and some of it you can't, and it, it becomes frustrating. Is that the word? I think the funniest thing ever, and I've told this story before, so I don't want to bore you, but I'll do the abbreviated version. I still do pretty intricate NPCs, and Mac had mentioned to me, hey, you haven't had one of your NPCs. We haven't had a good NPC encounter in a while. Why don't you cook one up? So I created this duo, this goblin, this kobold, and this gnome that were traveling companions, and I wrote all their history out. I had just pages of history and content and how they became friends and how they worked together and how it was going to fit into the ongoing campaign. This was in the world of Greyhawk. It was way back in the day. And the Pomars is where they met them, and this is all this stuff. Well, Max saw the kobold first and lightning bolted him. So the kobold died instantly. He had like 9 hit points. I was so mad. but it was one of those things that it was a learning lesson for me to only put the effort in when they've kind of committed to actually going through with whatever they've decided or you've decided on. But I will say this, I actually build my campaigns a lot around character or around player desires. Once it kind of is revealed to me what players want to do with their characters, I start building an adventure around that. It makes it a little bit easier on you, and it makes them a little bit more inclined to stick with it. Castles and Crusades is awesome. The game flows quick, light, and fun and play. So thank you, Steel Grimper. That's literally what we were shooting for. I love the game, and it is super fast, and it's super easy. Very little bogs it down. It's just very good. Yes, Usurpers of the Fell Axe. All right, so I'll check that out, Junior. I may have to get back with you. And a real quick, if you have not already, please give us a follow. And something else. Oh, we got some kind of PDF giveaway here in a little bit. We still got about 20 minutes to go, but something for, I think, everyone in the stream. I don't know. I hope I didn't speak out of turn. I'm not sure what's going on. Come on, Steve, you're supposed to know all this stuff. There's so much stuff. It's so funny. Peter was asking me something that I had no idea. Davis asked me today. I had to ask him. It's all beginning to seep out. And then what did I forget I just completely forgot something. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what I forgot. There you go. It's a lot of stuff. Look for a crack in the wall. Once found, place a bomb. Yeah. There you go. CNC has some great adventures running UT Verdant Rage. Oh, that's a good one. I need to get Mike Stewart to quit working on his game Victorious and to work on some Castles and Crusades adventures, because his stuff's just great. I mean, Mike's a good writer, and he's a good DM, GM, CK, whatever. And he's got this. He's one of the few people that I know, kind of in our age bracket, who really, really, really speaks first edition D&D, which of course for Castles and Crusades carries over beautifully. So Mike's the way he writes and the way he presents material, it's just fantastic. Mike Stewart's fantastic. He's got a podcast too. Check it out. It's Save for Half or Die podcast, I think. It's a fantastic podcast. Check it out. I don't know how to link it, so you'll have to find it. Thanks for the subscription. Really appreciate it. I'd have to disagree. Keep things rules light. If folks want more structure, the game as is is very malleable, and they can add the structure they want. Please don't know. Yeah, we're not, Athelstan. We're not adding any of that to it. All extraneous rules, those go into the Castle Keeper's Guide. The Player's Handbook, we're going to do the 8th printing. I'm hoping later this month it goes to press. Probably early March. We're not adding anything. It's staying the same. I absolutely love CNC as it is, and so long as I'm sitting in this chair, well, not necessarily this chair, but the CEO chair, we're not going to change it. Halfling Hall is great. I think I will tell you this, Halfling Hall is the only adventure I've run that my normal crew that I've been playing with since '85, they quit it. It was too hard. There were so many traps, they were just getting chewed to pieces, so they quit. I'm like, well, we're done. They left. It was hilarious. I think the entrances to the sewers in Ludensheim are in one or two of the guild houses. There is no real map. All right. Okay, so there's no map of Ludensheim, so that's going to be A3, but that's where the entrances to the sewers are. Okay, that sounds like something Davis would do. Davis really, we're doing this new thing on Patreon where for those backers at the $10 and $15 tiers, we're going to be releasing just small encounters, weapons, NPCs, just all of that stuff that both Davis and I write, but it doesn't have any place to go. It's just out there somewhere. You know, we wrote it. It doesn't go in an adventure. It doesn't go in a source book. There it is. So we're taking these things like the boar hunt, which we released today, I think, and we're going to release those through Patreon. But I told Davis, I said, just, you know, we got to keep them short, one page, because there's a size limit on sending crap out and all of that stuff. So keep them short. So he sent over like 2 pictures, 2 maps. I don't know, 1,500 words. It's like, dude, we can't do all of this. And so it's ironic that A4 doesn't have the appropriate maps in it, because Davis is bombarding me with maps constantly. My idea for expanded player options is to have the player talk to the GM and bounce some ideas around. Options unbounded. Yeah, there you go. That's kind of how I do it. That's kind of CNC. But 5th edition is a little bit of a different game. It's a little bit more structured. You know, there's more just stuff that kind of govern what your players can do. Whereas in Castles and Crusades, the Siege Engine is going to resolve what your players can do, assuming that you try it. And honestly, that's one of the hardest things that... that's one of the hardest things to teach new players that come over to CNC to do. And CKs, it took me a long time to actually implement the Siege Engine effectively. Is getting over the hump that you have to have a skill to do something, or you have to have something written down. You can try anything you want. The Castle Keeper is going to tell you an attribute check to make, and you're going to either make it or you're not. And it may be something that's damn near impossible, and the Castle Keeper gives it an insurmountable CL that is perfectly within the purview of the rules. So it's a little bit of a different hat there. But I definitely get it. I'm going to get back to my prose tonight. Wish me luck. Good luck, Clever. Players must die. There you go. Have you tried Castle of the Arch Magi? I appreciate the response. I'm enough to freak that I have a basic sandbox that denotes several options of each plot point, and the players can choose a direction. That's interesting, with the knowledge that whatever paths they don't take may become unavailable to them as other adventures exist in the world. Other adventurers exist in the world. It's a lot to track, but my players are loving the fact that they have to make those choices. LOL, I'm new here, so I'd never heard your story. I love that lesson learned. I'm not sure what story, but oh, that one, yeah. The Cobalt thing. Yeah, that was definitely an eye-opener for me. It was really the starting of my jotted notes, where I quit typing everything out into these huge things. But that's an interesting concept. I like that idea. It's kind of a choosing a path forward, and off of what is that? From every path, makes more paths to the opening up in front of you. That's very cool. Lightning Bolt for a little Kobold. Yeah, it was way overkill. I don't know why Lightning Bolt did it. I think in those days, Mac Golden, he's co-creator of Castle Crusades, he was a insanely aggressive player. He still is a very aggressive player. He's just a little bit calmer about it. But he definitely Lightning Bolted my little Kobold. And the Gnome, of course, went apeshit. The Kobold had 3 javelins of lightning, so the Gnome hurled. It became this huge fight. Mac felt horrible later when he found out what he had done, but it was just funny. So I know you all have the official league thing either happening or happening soon for CNC. Any chance Amazing Adventures will... Yes, once we get the framework for the whole... what is that called? Organized play. Once we have the framework for the whole organized play together, we will bring Amazing Adventures, Victorious, Tainted Lands, and the sci-fi, which will be, of course, spin-offs of Amazing Adventures. We're really going to have a tree. There's Victorious, Castle Crusades, and Amazing Adventures, and all other games. We got a zombie thing we're working on. I got a post-apocalyptic thing we're working on, and there's Tainted Lands, blah, 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 blah. All those will be, all of those will be Amazing Adventures, part of the Amazing Adventures family. That's how that all shape out eventually. Another idea for the beginner's guide: at the end of each lore entry, you have a little block of text that says, if you'd like to know more about... Every time I hear that phrase, that movie, Starship Troopers, do you want to know more? Those commercials that they did, that always pops into my head. Check out this adventure, CNC book, whatever. At that point, newcomers in the direction of whatever strikes their fancy in the beginning book. And encourage them to pick up a copy of the... That's a great idea. One of those things is it's just a good idea to hyperlink off of stuff. You know, when you got PDFs that are going out there, just hyperlink. People can go right to whatever it is that you're, whatever you're trying to do. Not much love for the assassin. Yeah. No, Lord Dailius, not so much love for the assassin. We're going to give it a really kick-ass picture. It's going to get a great section in the book, and it's an homage to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons first edition D&D. You know, the bard had his own place of high honor in the back of the book, so that the bard dominated the back of the player's handbook. So it will be for the assassin, governing all of that terrain in the back of the CNC player's handbook. The troll. Did that sell it well enough, Lord Dalius? How's it going, Green Lantern? The Troll Treasure Trove. That's a lot of T's, man, Jason. That's a lot of T's. Chain lightning for all. Yep. Ooh, that'll be, I see, lightning, the gift that keeps on giving, as long as you're all standing close enough to go. 5 minutes. Oh yeah, we're doing the giveaway here in just a couple of minutes. I think that all the time. Would you like to know more? I make that joke all the time. I know, it's crazy. That scene, that section from that movie. The movie was cool. You know, I enjoyed it. It was a little bit off of the book, which is fine. Who cares? But those commercials just really have left an indentation on my brain pan. Any good suggestions for upscaling enemy monster encounters, like very powerful orc lords? What would you do to make them very powerful? Perhaps a match for 10th level characters. Obviously, the hit dice is the first thing. One of the things I discovered much too late in the game to make monsters. The problem when you upscale, as you know, if you give them too many hit dice, they get that bonus to hit. So it can very rapidly turn into an unbalanced disaster if you go that route. But to give the creature more hit points, but to keep its bonus to hit in a realistic zone or a reasonable zone. I do damage reduction. I discovered that a few years ago. Absolutely love damage reduction. Whether, like, if it's an orc, he's got a ring of damage reduction, something like that. And it's nothing that players never expected. They never expect such a magic item or magic ability or whatever it is. So they're fighting this creature that normally should die but doesn't. And then they'll always start thinking in the wrong direction. It's a really kind of nice... trap isn't the word, but a nice way to upscale creatures that keeps them kind of in the reason of the way they were created, without and still make them insanely challenging. But obviously hit dice. Orcs I don't like. I know a lot of the systems allow orcs to be like fighters and all of that stuff. I never do that. I will jump armor class and I will jump hit dice quite a bit. But I think probably my most favorite thing these days is to slip a little bit of damage reduction. Half damage reduction, quarter damage reduction, something like that. Absolutely love doing that. And of course, my favorite thing to do in creatures like orcs and goblins and hobs and stuff like that against 10th level is just swarms of them. Absolutely, swarms of them. In fact, GM Strict of the Trade this week is going to be talking about how I handle mass combat without mass combat rules. And that's exactly what we'll be talking about. I absolutely love swarms. Let's see, I'd be more okay with the assassin's placement if the monk was relegated to some other games. Service means citizenship. There you go. Have we started the raffle? I'm not. Okay, I'm gonna mess this up. Oops, I missed something. What's the status of revamping Fantasy Ground stuff? I was going to invest in it, but Chuck said to. Yes, Piper, that is all on the table and is being done now. It is already being revamped. We've got a fellow doing on the main core rule set. We're hoping it's all done by May, but I believe that we're going to try to release it in stages going forward. So that is definitely happening. Okay, let's see, blah, blah, blah. I only learned about the show from the PDF giveaway email, but I think I'll be a regular watcher. The host didn't hang out. Thank you, Zangtash, and thanks for joining us, and we appreciate it. And as I tell everybody, both on this show and on the one on Thursday, GM Straight to the Trade, throw your feedback in. Let us know. No, are we doing the raffle? See, here's going to be the danger. Tim is in the wilderness, and if he loses his internet... Okay. So there's no raffle? What's going on? Tim, people don't know what's going on. Tim, tell me what to say. Okay, so there is no raffle. He's texting me in Skype, so I'm going to read what he's texting. So don't say anything, keep it clean, Tim. It's a free giveaway. So how do they get it? Are you going to put it here in the whatever the feed? Hey Steve, you want to feel old? I was 4 when Teal Jude. Oh, that's hilarious, King. That's absolutely hilarious. I was watching some stuff on TikTok the other day, and I thought, good Lord, These people weren't even born when I was stomping around. That is so hilarious. Okay, so he's going to put it in the feed, and I will also read it aloud. I don't know what that means, Tim, but okay. So there's going to be a link here in the feed, and you just go to it and download it. I believe that's the thing. If I buy Fantasy Ground CNC stuff now, will I have to repurchase the products once they are redone? Don't buy anything yet. I think that you will not. I think we're going to be able to get the new stuff to you, but we might not be able to, so we need to put that information. I'll get with Chuck and really iron that out. We need to get that information out to everybody, because that's relatively important. I would hate for you to buy it, then 3 days later we got a new thing coming out. Good God, this chair is done for. All right, so great. It started popping up. I don't know. For those of you who've followed my Facebook for a while, and I'm moving all of this to Discord, so I'm moving a lot of my personal stuff to Discord. So please go over there and follow me and join me. But I listen to a lot of weird stuff. Just weird music, odd music. Some normal, Leonard Skinner, whatever, but some like poppy, just really weird stuff. And so all kinds of crap goes up into my feed, and some TikTok videos popped in. And I don't know, Davis watches TikTok. His girlfriend's from Thailand, and he's really enmeshed in Far Eastern culture. But so I just looked at it. I started looking at it, and they're kind of entertaining, I gotta say. They're like the old Vine videos. I really don't know what the difference is. Organized play and demo teams will be fun once COVID is over and in-person games at conventions resume. Yeah, that's just going to be wonderful. It needs to happen sooner than later. Yeah, we get a lot of comments on people are ready to go back to conventions. It's a huge part of our culture, right? It's the gaming culture. We gather together and hang out and game and do whatever and wander around and get away from life for a little bit. It's been 2 years? A year? It's been a year. I guess I haven't been since November previous to COVID's outbreak. So a year and a half? Is that right? Something like that. If I already have Line in the Ropes, do I get to pick a different one? Probably not. So hey, but Tim, if you can, if it's not too late. Okay, wait, he's giving me an instruction. To get your free copy of CNC A Line in the Ropes, go here, blah, 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 that's the link there, and put A Line in the Ropes D Digital in your cart and use this code, Twitch Lion. It's on the front page. So it's going to be he put that up there too. So Twitch Lion. So it's going to be the CNC version. Go ahead and download it. Enjoy that, and you'll notice, for those of you who play 5th edition or Dungeon Crawl Classics, that's Wilson, that's my son there. He's what are you playing? Divine Knight in Tuesday night's game. Gnome, he's playing a Gnome Divine Knight in Tuesday night's game. So go download the Castles and Crusades version, and I want you to just look through it, read it. You don't have to read the whole thing, just scan it, and you're going to see how similar CNC is to 5th edition, I think, and then give it a whirlwind, give it a shot, see what's happening. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, pleased. I don't know. Hopefully, you'll be one of the other. So either way, either way. All right, so we're winding down. Well, thank you all for showing up. Surely appreciate it. Love all of the feedback, all of the talk. It's fantastic. Yes, a gnome. Didn't go there, a gnome. Davis would not allow it, but I allow it. He's playing a pretty aggressive gnome, so that's pretty cool. I still just can't envision the gnome in my head. It's what's the movie? It's a bridge too far. It's just a bridge too far. Well, everybody's got their games. Almaris, he should play an assassin. I would just kill him. I'm not gonna do it, but I'm very close to banning assassins from my game. I'm not gonna do it, but I want to. I know, that's it. That's me, King Cother, right there. It's the I see those little gnomes in the little hats, and I'm done. I'm out. So I've played a gnome once. His name was William Crowbill, and I based this gnome off of. So I'm gonna tell you the whole story here. This is just an entertaining story. I was way down in southern Arkansas sitting with my grandmother and my Aunt Lottie. Now, this was in the 90s, I guess, and both of those women were in their 80s, and they'd been just, they'd seen the world a couple of times. And we're sitting there, and they're just talking and laughing and talking and laughing. And I was just sitting there in a lawn chair just watching the birds or whatever. And this truck drives by. It's an old green Ford, and there's this, I said partially green, from the door all the way to the tailgate, there's this growing mesh of rusted metal. And you can see it kind of like a cone, like a dragon's cone, like a dragon had breathed down the door or whatever. And I turned to Granny, and I called her Granny. I said, Granny, what's with the truck? That's a pretty messed up truck. And she just started laughing, and she said, just watch. And that old fella, he's a mailman. Old fella, he's driving, and he leans out, and he just spits this wad of tobacco out. Not a wad, but a spit of tobacco out. And it hits, he's driving, of course, and it hits the side of his truck. And Aunt Lottie and Granny just started laughing. I just lost it. But instantly, that guy became a character in my mind. So a few years later, when I played this gnome, William Crowbill, I based it directly off of that guy. So William was rather heavy, but his big thing was he was unbathed, unclean. He was very violent, very rough, but his big thing was chewing tobacco. And I described him off of the mailman. Everything was built off of that mailman, so that I just spit tobacco constantly. The sad thing is, Chris Harris was running the game, and he was running kind of a highbrow game, and my William didn't fit at all. It's absolutely at all. It was one of those things, but it was pretty funny. I don't remember what happened to that guy. I'm sure he died of mouth cancer or something. I have no idea, but gnomes are a delicacy in my games. Food for adventures. Yeah, that's Davis for sure. Davis the gnome specifically. No assassins, no monks. Yeah, it's just crazy stuff. No gods, no kings, only gnomes. There you go. I actually love Peter Bradley's depiction of the gnome. It's kind of cool. I like what he did in the Player's Guide to Aird. The wooden in Aird, they're called the wooden face people. So in Aird, they have a slightly different story behind them, and I tried to pull them away from their original, whatever the original concept was. I'm really not sure that was. Cone of True. Yeah, there you go. Phlegmatic spray. I may have to put that in a spell of jaw attack. That's fantastic. Okay, so there's going to be a whole new classification of spells built around this mailman from the long ago days. And that's hilarious. Yeah, that was some serious acid damage on the side of that truck. There is no doubt. It was really kind of weird, too. I mean, I don't know. It was just... Everything was so relaxed, that scene, I can see it in my head. Everything about it was just a hot summer day. Everything was just very relaxed. It was very cool. And this guy clearly didn't care. He didn't give a lick about his truck or the tobacco. He was just delivering the mail and spitting tobacco. Can you picture a young, spry, adventuresome gnome? No. You picture an elderly geezer pushing his furniture around and growing mushrooms in his garden. I'm pretty sure it was a Ford. Say versus redneck. Yeah, that's part of the thing. I think gnomes got wrecked. And I don't want to fault anybody, but the Tinker Gnomes created this image of gnomes in people's mind, I think, that no one's been able to break from ever since. And so, I tried to revamp them and Aird with the wooden face people, but I'm not sure it stuck. You can identify them by the skull ring on their backpack. There you go. Yeah, that's right, because it's gonna leave the circle. Man, I haven't seen that in a long time. Wow. That used to be bad. Does people not do that anymore? Just 15 years ago, you couldn't go anywhere in Arkansas without that skull ring. What he's talking about, skull comes in a round can, for those who don't know. And you put it in your pocket, and you wear those same jeans for, a couple of years, and you've got this ring. You could tell anyone smoking. You could tell anyone chewing. Do you chew skull? Yeah, I guess you do. Put it on the lip. Did that once, long ago. It made me high as a kite. In this game I ran, a paladin touched an evil door and took damage. The neutral gnome cleric then touched the door, and the paladin asked if he could conduct it. Poor gnomes. Gnomes get beat up by everybody. I have a Tinker Gnome player in my current campaign. There, you love gnomes, don't you, Blood Wild? It's awesome. Let me tell you, my son loves his gnome. And they're actually quite powerful. They got all those little spell abilities, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of, pretty sneaky little guys. Dragonlance invented a Tinker Gnome, and World of Warcraft immortalized it as the default gnome. Yeah, there you go. And I love Dragonlance. I absolutely love Dragonlance. Super pumped. They got new books coming out. Glad they settled whatever they settled. Yep, dip it, not chew it. There you go. Levi Garrett is chew or chaw. I think I didn't do dip. I did tobacco. I did a wad of tobacco in the cheek, chewed that for however long I chewed it, spit it, and I tell you, I was loopy. I actually had a Cuban cigar once, years and years and years ago. That made me loopy too. That stuff's powerful. Heck, Master Gnome Barbarian. There you go. They can be fun to play. But it really is the thing people seem to be able to do with them. It really is. All of that stuff is what you put into your character. That's the cool thing about it all. I mean, you can have preconceived notions. It's even like the assassin. One of these days, Lord Dalius or Todd are going to show me how assassins are properly played. I just never get a good one at my table is why I'm so skewed against them. What email address do we send submissions? Product support at trollord.com. That will either get to me or to Tim or to Chuck. Someone will get that, and then it'll be funneled to wherever it's going to go. So send it that direction, Piper. That's going to be the best thing. If you can get, here's a trick. I'm going to rat you out, Tim. If you can get to Tim, he is obsessive compulsive about his emails. So you will get a response. If you get it to me, I am not obsessive compulsive about my emails, so I'll probably forget. But I won't want to forget, but I'll forget. So that's just the way it is. Cannibal Gnome Headhunters. Dang, King Kothar, you're just like Davis. You and Davis need to get together. That Davis hates gnomes with a passion. I am a Kodiak man myself. There you go. Grape Ape knows what we're talking about. A little bit of dip, a little bit of chaw. We can submit new monsters and adventure ideas. Absolutely. We're always looking for content. Can you imagine the change to the books if Gandalf and Bilbo chewed tobacco? That would be awesome. Redneck Bilbo. That's what that would be. That would be just pure awesome. Bilbo sitting on his porch spitting wads of tobacco out. Gandalf comes up spitting wads of tobacco. It would certainly take away from the highbrow nature of it on wacky tobacco. So I had this buddy of mine, Jared. Jared is still a good friend of mine. I love the guy to death. We hung out for years when we were kids and living in Heidelberg, Germany, and he dipped. He didn't do tobacco, but he dipped. And I remember when the Robin Hood movie came out, the cartoon, the Disney thing. He and I were much too old to go see that movie, but we went. It was packed, so the only place we could sit was at the front of the theater. So there we are eating popcorn, and he got his cup out, put his dip in. And he had a field jacket on, and he was dipping the whole time. So Jared wore like a field jacket and a couple of, like a, what is it, the long handle shirt, whatever, and a shirt, t-shirt, whatever. He had a lot of shirts. So when we got up, I looked at it when the movie was over. I looked at it. That dude had like a bib of spit on him. He had been spitting in his cup and missed 80% of the time, but didn't know it because he had so much clothing on. So all of this spit was all over him. It was absolutely hysterical. That was my one huge brush with. I got another dog in here. That was my one huge brush with dipping there. So I never went down. I never went down that road. And when you first put that chew in your cheek, it is nothing but pure tobacco staining everything. Oh yeah. Gandalf raised his staff, his lip quivering with black chew. Daniel Ballard. That would be awesome. So I'm going to end this stream. That reminds me, flannel cocks protection and skull spit attacks. This is awesome. That reminds me, if you have not done it, I'm going to recommend a book to all of you all. It's called Board of the Rings. It's put out by National Lampoon back in the 70s or early 80s or whatever. Absolutely go get that book and read that book. It's one of the funniest books ever written. Harvard Lampoon. There you go. It's like 90 pages. You'll read it in an afternoon. But it obviously is a parody of Lord of the Rings. Absolutely hysterical. I don't think that I have ever in my life laughed so hard as I laughed while I was reading Lord of the Rings. And I'm a huge Tolkien fan. Tolkien is it for me. But Frito Burger and Spam, it's just insane. Yes, Clerks did a great job making fun of Lord of the Rings. Absolutely. And again, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Huge. If you were to ask, where are you? Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings. It's always Lord of the Rings. I'm always Lord of the Rings. no matter what, always Lord of the Rings. But I love people making fun of stuff, so so that's cool too. There was a Kickstarter to save it. To save what? Clerks or Lord of the Rings? Yeah, definitely go read Lord of the Rings. You got to get it somewhere. The Tolkien. Oh yeah, that's right. The Tolkien House. Peter told me about that. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, clever. I'm on Return of the King. It's fantastic stuff. All right, with all of that, with Lord of the Rings, I gotta go do something. I gotta get some dinner going. So I'll be back on Thursday at 4 o'clock for Jim's Tricks of the Trade. We'll get a little bit more Game Crunch in that one, and then I'll be back again next Tuesday for another Ask Me Anything. Guys, thank you all, men, women, gals, guys, whatever. Thank you all for showing up. Surely do appreciate it. Appreciate the follow. If you haven't, give us one, and we will see you on Thursday and Tuesday. Thanks again, everybody, for showing up. Surely do appreciate it. And really, go get Bored of the Rings. You're going to love it. It's a great show. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you next time.